Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come not to praise the OSR, but to bury it yet again. Good morning, my nerds, and welcome. It's 9 o'clock in the morning here at Site B in the 26th day of June 2025. It is gloomy again, despite that it's almost July, because of course it is. And today we're talking about Daggerheart. Daggerheart. Daggerheart, come and me want to go home. And how Daggerheart is going to lead to the doom of the OSR. The OSR is dead because of Daggerheart, because Daggerheart's the number one selling game out there today, right now. Now, we have to change our definition of OSR, again, in order to facilitate these idiots who think that Daggerheart's brief moment in the sun is going to kill the 50-year-long history of these quote-unquote OSR. Now, I know there are official definitions for the old OSR, old school Renaissance, old school revival, old school resurrection, other stupid rules, whatever you want to call it. But basically, the last couple of times I've had this conversation with you, I've changed the definition of OSR to be the OSR is any game that isn't 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Well, we have to change it again. Okay, so as of today, June 26th, 2025, at whatever time it is. What time is it? 9:08 here at Site B. The definition for the OSR is now any game that isn't the game I'm talking about if I can use it in this game's going to kill the OSR. So we've seen a couple of our favorite trolls post how Daggerheart's going to kill the OSR. That's the latest one. Obviously, these individuals are not aware of the fact that Daggerheart would count as an OSR game because it's not Dungeons and Dragons, and because it has its lifeblood in some of the most OSR of OSR games. Daggerheart comes from Blades in the Dark. Blades in the Dark comes from Powered by the Apocalypse. Powered by the Apocalypse comes from, wait for it, Fate, which comes from Fudge, which comes from, so Daggerheart is a OSR game in its lifeblood. It's definitely not a 5e game, but does appeal to the same crowd of people that are playing 5e right now, the quote-unquote sparkle trolls. But because of its recent success, Daggerheart is going to kill the OSR. And to which I would respond, as I have several times before, you can't kill the OSR because there is no such thing as the OSR. There is no old school. You can't go to the old school. Okay, you can't buy the old school. The OSR you can't go into the OSR building. You can't take the OSR home. It's not a thing. It is a idea. It is a art form. It is an amorphous blob that pours in to fit whatever definition the person is talking about at the time. Basically, again, it's any game that isn't 5e, or now it's any game that isn't 5e or Daggerheart, or whatever game the idiot is talking about to say, though, this is the game that's going to kill the OSR, and then next week there'll be a different darling, and they'll be like, oh, no, this game is going to kill the OSR. This is going to be the game that single-handedly erases the 50-year history and the thousands and thousands and thousands of people all across the world who are playing games that aren't Daggerheart. The Daggerheart's going to kill the OSR. Again, there's no OSR to kill. It's an idea. It's an amorphous goo that is used to pour in to fill the definition of anything that isn't game you're talking about. It's every indie game, it's every D20 game, it's every point-based game, it's every game that's older than 5 years, or been playing by somebody who's over the age of 30 is an OSR game. It's part of the OSR. And the OSR is out to get you. It's going to come into your house. It's going to steal all your stuff. It's going to take your dog. It's going to make your wife run off from you. It's going to eat all your food, and it's going to sleep in your bed and not pay rent. The OSR is just this evil menace that hangs over the tabletop role-playing game community. But don't worry, the current light is Daggerheart, because Daggerheart's going to outsell the OSR. It's not. And it's going to outlast the OSR. It's not. And so, yeah, how long do we think Daggerheart's going to last? And how long would it take Daggerheart to completely eliminate the OSR? Oh, well, the OSR is going to die because all the people that play the OSR are old, except no, they're not. There's plenty of people who are 20 years old who are playing OSR games. There are plenty of people who are 10-year-olds who are playing OSR games. The OSR is not going to die simply because some of us originals like myself are sailing to the West, because there will always be new people playing OSR games, because there's always going to be people who are playing the game that you don't like. And those people are going to fall into the OSR. So you can say, oh, game of the week is going to kill the OSR because all the OSR are old fucks who are dead. And shame on you for wishing us to die. That makes, that's really sick on your part. But okay, even if I die, and even if everybody I ever played with dies, the OSR is not going to die. You can't kill the idea. The OSR will outlast Daggerheart, and the OSR will outlast Dungeons and Dragons, because the OSR is Dungeons and Dragons. Its very core beating heart is D&D. It's role-playing, and you can't get rid of role-playing. Role-playing has existed since the Greek plays, and it will exist long past you and me, you moron. So now that we've established that, and we've established the bizarre thought pattern, we now have to look at the current contender, and that's Daggerheart. How long do we think Daggerheart's going to last? How long do we think Daggerheart has? Well, we already know that there's going to be at least one expansion for Daggerheart in some form, because they're still playtesting it. Now, it doesn't say a lot to me about a game that's on the market if you're still playtesting it, and there's still new playtest material coming out. So we've got at least 4 playtest classes that have come out since the game was published. So that means either one more Splat book coming out, or they're just going to make these playtest classes available on the website, which is what they should. And you can buy them or not as you need them for like $2-3, or they're doing a Splat book sometime next year, I would assume, where these new classes that they're playtesting is going to be in. I mean, you just hired Perkins and Crawford. I assume you're going to give them projects to work on. So I assume there's going to be some type of Daggerheart monster manual, some type of Daggerheart campaign setting book that explores all the frames that are in the Daggerheart book, the suggested campaigns. So we got at least 2 books coming out of Daggerheart that I can probably guarantee. Plus the Taldori to Daggerheart conversion. That's probably going to happen. So now remember, the lifespan of Daggerheart is completely dependent upon the extremely fickle Critical Role fan base. And whenever Critical Role does something that the fan base isn't 100% behind, it shows. And it shows greatly. Remember Illuminated Worlds? Candela Obscura? Remember that other role-playing game they made? The 2 other role-playing games they made? No, you don't. Or all those board games they made? Yeah, no. You remember Critical Role, Dungeons and Dragons, the second half of Campaign 1, all of Campaign 2, and some of Campaign 3. All right. So, and now we also know that Jeremy Crawford is the brains behind anything that the future of Daggerheart has planned. Jeremy Crawford, the man who single-handedly killed Dungeons and Dragons, and created the current environment of Dungeons and Dragons. So how long is Daggerheart going to last, and how long will it take Daggerheart to kill the OSR? I give Daggerheart, even if they do come out with a Splat book next year, 4 years. 4 years, maybe 5, but hiring Crawford is going to be the worst mistake you've made. Not only have you alienated a huge chunk of the fan base, you've put a man who single-handedly destroyed Wizards of the Coast in charge of your company. This is the guy who greenlighted the 2023 OGL nonsense. This is the guy who greenlighted Tasha's. This is the guy who greenlighted Orcs are evil. Orcs are racist. This is the guy who said nothing before 2014 counts. And then said again, nothing before 2024 counts. This is the guy who said, we've never done dragons before. So I give it 4 years. But the company doesn't need to exist for the game to continue. I mean, there's still people playing games that are technically out of print. There's still people playing Villains and Vigilantes. And when was the last time Jeff D did anything with Villains and Vigilantes? There's still people playing Boot Hill. When was the last time anybody did anything with Boot Hill? There's still people playing games that are technically no longer in print. The fan base can perpetuate a game long past the life expectancy of the game. And if the game has a, open license, you can still make product for it. People still make stuff for Villains and Vigilantes. People still make stuff for games that aren't in print anymore, or don't have the wide-ranging reach of some of the larger games like, say, Champions or Call of Cthulhu. I mean, fuck, even, they're still making stuff for GURPS, and GURPS is sort of technically dead. So the fan base can make so that a game outlives the publishing of the game. So even if Critical Role, Darrington Press, with the brilliant Jeremy Crawford behind the wheel, screeches to a bloody pile up in 4 years, how long will the fan base perpetuate that? Well, we know that there's an open game license, and oh my God, it's as bad, if not worse, than the OGL for D&D that Crawford tried to slip past us in 2023. So the door is there for fans to make product long past the shelf date of Daggerheart. And I'm going to assume that sometime very soon, possibly as soon as next week, we're going to get an apology tour from Mercer where they tell us we misunderstood the OGL that they made, and this is exactly what it is. And then they're going to present us the brand new version that says, oh, no, we're not going to do what we said we're going to do in the previous one. That was a mistake. You misread it. This is what we meant for it to say. And I can't guarantee that's going to happen, but it's probably going to happen. So knowing that the door is open for you to make third-party content for Daggerheart, estimating the lifespan of Daggerheart 4 or 5 years, maybe less because of Crawford. It again cycles back to the beginning. It depends upon the fan base, and the fan base, the Critical Role fans, the fans who are responsible for the success or failure of the show since it first appeared, is extremely fickle and can be extremely toxic. And God forbid, between now and 2030, any member of the public facing of Critical Role does something the fan base finds even slightly upsetting, like not having a player character have a certain magic item. Remember that? That was only last year. So the prices will rise and fall. And right now it's doing very well financially. But 6 months from now, well, that depends upon how well the show does. And as we can see, the show is doing okay. Umbra's making about 1 million views an episode, which for Critical Role, pretty good. So right now things are good. But a year from now, when Umbra's done, and unless Campaign 4 is going to be using Daggerheart, maybe not so much. And comes a year from now, depending upon what kind of official support and depending upon the fans' reaction to the cast at that point in time, a year from now, it's hard to determine. But the record has shown that it's far more likely the continuing response past this initial honeymoon phase is going to be more negative than positive. Especially if they do something the fans don't like, or they take the game the fans don't like. We don't know what they have planned for Daggerheart past Umbra, but we're going to assume they have something planned. Is it going to be Campaign 4? They haven't said. What is the history of Taldori? Are we ever going back to Taldori? They haven't said. Right now they're having fun playing around in Daggerheart. But we know there's stuff still planned for the Taldori D&D stuff, the Campaign 1, Campaign 2 stuff. Still got TV shows, video games, comic books, all planned. So we got 4 years, 5 years, the gate's closed. Crawford has killed it. The fan base has an open source, which right now is pretty sucky, but we're going to assume that's going to be changed once they see how badly we're reacting to it. How long can the fan base keep it alive? closest comparison. Yeah, I mean, as long as there's one person still making stuff or playing it, the game is technically alive. But for it to be a financial competition for whatever game's out next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, no, I don't see it really lasting longer than 5 years. I could be completely wrong, but it just doesn't feel like the energy is there. They don't even really feel like they really want to do it. And eventually all of them are going to want to do other things or retire. I mean, Matt and Marissa might want to start a family. Travis and Laura might want to have another child. I don't know anything about the romantic adventures of the other staff members, but I assume they all have something or someone and other things they want to do. And let's face it, they're getting older. Just, sooner or later, they're going to hand the reins to the next generation. And if the next generation of Daggerheart is anything like the next generation of Dungeons and Dragons, i.e., I'm looking at you, Mackenzie, that's not a great future. So 5 years. I would say by 2030, the Daggerheart, as we know it, is going to just not be there. Meanwhile, the OGL, i.e., every game that isn't Dungeons and Dragons or Daggerheart, it's going to be fine because there's thousands of people all across the planet who are all playing quote unquote OSR games, indie games, OGL games, games that aren't Dungeons and Dragons or Daggerheart. So yeah, you would have to have Daggerheart consistently make and several million a year, publish multiple best-selling products, and then somehow eliminate every other game company that's making anything that isn't D&D or Daggerheart in order to kill the OSR. But as long as there's 4 people somewhere on the planet playing any game that's not Dungeons and Dragons or Daggerheart, you're not going to kill the OSR. You can't kill the OGL. You can't kill the OSR. You can't kill dramatic play with rules. No matter how much money Wizards of the Coast makes or doesn't make, I'm not going away. And the people who are after me aren't going to go away. There's always going to be somebody playing a game you don't like. And Daggerheart's not going to be the game that kills the OSR. Shadowdark, whether you consider it part or not of the OSR, no, because there's always going to be another game, and there's always going to be a game that people love. There's, and you're only counting a small population of the Earth. Let's not forget that there's entire other continents filled with people who aren't playing Dungeons and Dragons, who aren't playing Daggerheart, who are playing games that you would consider OSR. Call of Cthulhu in Asia would be a start. Warhammer in Europe. I don't know what they play in South America, but I assume it's not Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is a significantly unique United States thing. And for every 10 D&D players, there's one person who's playing not D&D. And for every $1 million that Wizards makes or Daggerheart makes, there's OSR games out there making, the total $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year. Every dollar that doesn't go in the coffers of Wizards of the Coast, or now Darrington Press, goes into the coffers of the OSR. Because the OSR, the old school, is this amorphous blob of every game that's not the game you like. And the OSR represents everything you're angry with about any game or any person that isn't playing the game you've played. You've taken OSR and you've taken its original very vague definition and you've repolished it to basically be, I don't like this game. I don't like the people that play that game. So I'm going to say the game I currently do like, Daggerheart, is going to be the game that kills them. And it's always kill. You always want to kill us. You always want to harm us. You always want to see anybody you don't agree with die. How awful are these people that they say this? I want the OSR to die because the OSR took my girlfriend and killed my dog and ran up my checking account, right? The OSR is responsible for everything in my life that is wrong. No, we're not. Because there is no OSR. There is no person who's coming into your life and doing this to you. Okay? We don't have that kind of power. We're just people who play games that aren't D&D or aren't even the edition of Dungeons and Dragons you like. Are 3rd edition players in the OSR? Because according to Crawford, they are. 2nd edition players, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, are they in the OSR? What about other fantasy games? What about Pendragon players? What about GURPS players? What about Call of Cthulhu players? What about players who play my games? Well, we're all not playing Daggerheart. We're all not playing D&D, so we all must be in the OSR. Ergo, right? Backwards logic. If then equals. So, Daggerheart's going to be the game that kills the OSR. No, it's not. Because one, Daggerheart is an OSR game. Its lifeblood, its heart and soul is from the OSR. It's not 5e. So I guess it's an OSR game. And even if it's not, even if now it's Dungeons and Dragons 2025 and Daggerheart versus everybody else, there's still more of us than you. And every game that isn't these two games is technically, according to this definition, which is, you know, a OSR game. Because we don't really know what the OSR means in your minds anymore. I'm not sure the OSR knows what OSR means anymore. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have to mean anything. It's just a word. It's a word that people have attached meaningless definitions to justify the us versus them or the you versus me. And now these people are using Daggerheart to vomit out their anger at the rest of an industry and go, this is the game that's going to kill your game. It's not. It can't. Okay? Daggerheart's going to be a flash in the pan carried forward by Hollywood, who are already obviously kind of tired of doing this anyways. Look at Perkins' face. Look at Mercer's face. 5 years. I give Daggerheart 5 years, and I give the fan base maybe, 15, 20 years. But it's never going to be bigger than the OGL, OSR, old school D&D fan base. Anybody who's playing not 5th. And it's never going to be bigger than anybody who's playing any game that isn't 5th edition, or anybody who's ever playing any game that isn't Daggerheart, because there's hundreds of other systems out there, hundreds of other incarnations of D&D out there, hundreds of other point-based, dice-based, card-based, Jenga-based, you name it, it's out there. And there's games for every genre, even if you think there's no role-playing for baseball. Well, nobody's done a baseball role-playing game. That'd be stupid to me. No, there is a baseball role-playing game. You come up with a genre, there is 90% likely a game out there that's trying to emulate that genre all over the planet. While we live in our little United States, Canada bubble and go, well, there's no games but these. So this is the game that's going to kill you, OSR. It's not. It's not. You're not going to kill the OSR. Daggerheart's got maybe 5-10 years. 5 years for physically actually being made by Darrington before Crawford kills it, and maybe another 5 years of the fan base bleeding it out. But yeah, no, it's a flash in the pan. It's a very bright, shiny, dancey, singy, fireworks, free pizza flash in the pan. But it's an awful game with an awful engine and a lot of really awful forced virtue signaling, made by people who you can obviously tell really don't want to be there anymore as much as they did. And, the fan base is partially responsible for why it just sort of feels like they don't really want to be there. It's like, okay, this is really more of a job now than a passion project, so I guess we'll show up. So, yeah, there we go. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come not to praise the OSR, but to bury it. Unfortunately for you, the OSR is alive and well, and it's not going anywhere.
Tell that you go scream and fight.